I think I'm more nervous right now than I am when I was about to swim to Bowen. So I'm Willem Young, and me and two of my friends, Angus and Luke, came up with an idea at the beginning of the school year in 2013 to do a triathlon relay to raise money for our pen pals in Ghana. At our school, Island Pacific School, we have been communicating with these orphans at an orphanage in Ghana because of one of our teachers who went and volunteer taught there. We've been communicating with them. This will be our 7th year, and I personally have been writing letters for 3 years to the orphans. So it was the beginning of 2013. It was actually the first week of school, and Angus and I were talking about our pen pals and hopefully wondering when we were going to be getting our first letters and stuff, and then talking about how they wouldn't have the chance to go to high school, and talking about how Angus likes running, I like swimming, and then Luke came into the conversation, and Luke likes biking. And that's how we came up with Try for Ghana. So the first part of the year, we were planning the event, and we set a goal to raise $10,000 to send 4 kids to high school for the full high school cycle, which would be grade 10, 11, and 12. And we also were planning our training schedules for the entire year. Part of my training was taking ice baths to acclimatize myself to the cold water, because I wouldn't be swimming in the warm swimming pool like I was used to. Another part of my training, I would be in the pool swimming anywhere from 4 to 10 kilometers on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would be doing dry land, building my muscle strength. A big part of my swim was mentally preparing myself just to be able to tell myself that I would be able to do the swim. And I had a lot of help with this because my swim coach, she had actually swam the English Channel before, so she both helped me with my training, which was building endurance and building my confidence for the swim. The day of the triathlon, it came really fast, and I woke up on the morning of, and I didn't really realize what was happening, kind of like today, actually. And we all met in Deep Cove, where Luke was starting his bike ride, and we had a whole bunch of supporters come out. We started the triathlon off, and I sped off in the car to White Cliff Park to prepare myself for my swim. And I was there, and I started putting on my wetsuit, started warming up, and people started to show up. And it kind of brought tears to my eyes even, because the fact that people were coming out to support something that I and Angus and Luke strongly believe in, it really meant something to me. So when Luke showed up at White Cliff Park, I was ready to go, and I had all these people coming out cheering me on. Someone even had a bugle. And even all the scuba divers had come out of the water that were scuba diving in White Cliff Park to see me off. And coincidentally, the thing I was worried about most was the scuba divers coming up underneath me when I was leaving White Cliff Park, or the seals coming and trying to have a little play with me, which thankfully did not happen. When I left White Cliff Park, I had 2 kayaks with me to guide the way, and we also had 2 safety boats that were out on the water, one of them providing a first responder, a lifeguard, and my swim coach, just in case anything went wrong, which thankfully didn't. And the other one, just to make ourselves more visible, because the channel from White Cliff Park to Bowen Island is a big ferry crossing, and BC Ferries was notified that I was going to be swimming in the water that day, and thankfully the ferry wasn't an issue for us. So my swim coach estimated that it was going to take me 2 hours to swim the 3.5, 4 kilometers to Bowen Island, depending on how the current was. And it wasn't that bad that day, except for one part when I was entering the cove on Bowen Island. So when we left White Cliff Park, the 2 kayaks came out with me, and we were supposed to be met right outside the bay by one of the chase boats. But my swim coach was late, and the chase boat didn't get there till we were halfway across the channel. And then the other chase boat, which had my parents on it and Luke, who had just biked 41 kilometers, didn't actually get there till I was on Bowen Island already. It took me 52 minutes to swim the crossing. And I was greeted on the beach by not that many people because a lot of the supporters had been coming over on the ferry to meet me there, which I actually beat across. Here's me doing my, I remember doing my last stroke and stroking and touching the bottom of the ocean and feeling the sand in my fingertips, and I came up, had the biggest grin on my face, and Angus was waiting there, ready to do his run. And at this moment, Angus and I high-fived, and then Angus said to me, "Willem, there were killer whales in the water when you were swimming." And I was just really glad I didn't get eaten. Yeah, and then it was a few hours later, and Angus had finished his run up Mount Gardner and back, which I'm going to tell you, it's basically like doing the grouse grind, but the trail's not maintained. And we heard some cheering, and there Angus appears from the trail with a whole bunch of supporters there. You can actually see Kate running there. And we ran up and crossed the finish line. And here's actually a picture. This young boy here, he's been adopted from the orphanage and now lives on Bowen Island and goes to school on Bowen Island. I'm not quite sure if he understood what we were doing, but I think he would be thankful. So I'd just like to finish off by saying, yes, I swam to Bowen Island and it was a pretty big deal, but what we did, raising $40,000, it sent 10 kids to high school, which is going to change the rest of their lives for them and future generations. And we could not have done this without the help of Sanctuary for Kids, who sponsored us $18,000, and also without all the support from everyone else we had. A big thank you to our teacher, Jennifer Henriksen, who's in the audience somewhere, who helped out, and she's the one who went to Ghana and volunteered at the orphanage to set this pen pal program up with us. So thank you.